Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Just Saying. It's me, your host, Jessica Dean, and today we're joined by a return guest whose journey is nothing short of inspiring. What started as a simple love for pigeons has evolved into a remarkable business venture, proving passion really can take flight. My guest also empowers others through vision board workshops, helping people turn their dreams into tangible goals, and shares the transformative practice of gratitude journaling as a daily ritual for joy and clarity. It's a conversation that blends creativity, mindfulness, and purpose. Please welcome back Elizabeth Shaver. Hey,
Hi
Elizabeth,
there.
how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Miss Jessica?
I'm doing good, thank you.
I was actually I was stalking your Facebook page today, not your personal page, but the Just Saying page, to see when was I last on there, because I am flattered that you have asked me to come back, and I'm so proud of you that you're doing this. I think it's what, 5 years now?
Yes, can you believe it's been 5
No.
years?
Yeah, it's crazy, and I love that you had this dream and goal and you made it happen, and here we are. And I was looking back, and it's maybe 5 years-ish since you
Mhm.
had talked to me the last time. So it's been a minute, it's crazy.
I know time flies, and I'm just so excited that we continue to follow each other and stay in touch and, through social media and things because your business has just taken off, and I'm
Oh,
just,
yes.
like, so happy for you, and I just love to see you just are such a positive person, and
Oh,
all this stuff in my social media, it's just like you just always have something funny or, like, a funny story or a cooking video, or you're just spreading a nice message, and it's just refreshing to see.
oh, thank you so much.
So how was your Thanksgiving?
It was very good. I was reminding everyone to wear pants with elastic, but that was probably a bad idea because then you don't realize how much you ate. And then the next day, your regular pants don't fit so well. But I ate too much but it was good. It was very good. How about yours?
It was good too. I definitely, enforced my stretchy pants, so I wore those all day. I love food. So
Oh, I know. Food is awesome.
we, could talk about that for a long time too.
Yes.
Well, as again, we said, it's been 5 years. So give us an update. What is going on with your pigeon program? How is Homer? And for people who this is their first time meeting you, kind of give us an introduction. What is your pigeon program? Who is Homer? Tell us about it.
Absolutely. So, I will go back a ways just to kinda give the backstory. I grew up on a small farm, and I think when a lot of people think farm, they think of the large barn that has the mail pouch tobacco written on the side of it and cows in the field, and it wasn't quite that kind of a farm, but we always had critters, and we had the basic critters that everybody has, dogs, cats, we had rabbits, but we also raised chickens, we had turkeys, pheasants, and then years later, I was married for a while, and I had bobwhite quail, so I've just always been a bird fanatic ever since I was little. I just love birds in general, and then over the time, when I had my chicken coops, I would occasionally put a pigeon or 2 in there, so I've just always loved pigeons as well, and how would I say? Homer is a pigeon that lives with me in my house. He is my 4th pet pigeon. He is my 2nd house pigeon. The other ones lived in coops with the chickens. And he's just wonderful. And I will tell you how my program got started, and I can keep this fairly simple. I don't want to bore anyone to death. But I have a wonderful friend. In fact, maybe off camera, you and I may want to talk about her. She's rather interesting. I graduated high school with her. She is she's an artist and she's incredible. Face painting, caricatures, all of those wonderful things. About 8 or so years ago, she was doing a paint and sip at a local library near where I'm from. And back in the day, I had never done one of those. And I thought it sounded fun. And I said, I'm going to come to your paint and sip at the library. And she said, bring Homer, which is my pigeon. And I said, you want me to bring a live pigeon to the library, a place that has books about pigeons, but probably not a live bird in the library, or everybody's going, we need to get this bird out of here. And she said, yep, they're cool with it. We love Homer. He can hang out while we paint. So that is exactly what happened. Homer was in the back of the room on the floor in a small cage. We all painted. We had a lovely evening. And I can't say verbatim what the librarian said specifically, but the children's librarian was very interested in Homer. And she had asked me, would you like to bring him back sometime to meet the kids for Children's Story Hour? I think he'd be a big hit. And I said, oh my gosh, I would love for the kids to meet Homer. I love when anybody wants to meet Homer because honestly, I think pigeons get a bad rap. Some people don't like birds in general. I think pigeons are misunderstood. And I think some of your listeners may remember the old comedian Rodney Dangerfield from back in the day. He used to say his famous tagline, I don't get any respect. I don't think pigeons get respect, and I don't think they're treated well. And they're not rats with wings. They're intelligent, they're beautiful, they're wonderful. So anytime anybody wants to meet Homer and ask me questions, I just absolutely love that. So I said yes to the library. I will bring him back. And then I drove home panicking. What am I going to do? I don't have anything. I didn't have a program. And I thought, well, you learn things at the library. So I would like to teach people something about pigeons. So I Googled pigeon facts. And then I felt sorry for the first 3 pigeons I had because I found some pigeon facts that I didn't know. And I was like, ooh. But I ended up typing that into a Word document. I think I found a pigeon coloring page that I took that the kids could have. And everybody met Homer. And fast forward to now, about 8-ish, 9-ish years later, I now have a full-blown pigeon program, I call it. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm a visual person. I made a slideshow out on Google Slides. They're free if you ever need to make a slideshow. And I made a wonderful slideshow. So you get to see videos of Homer in the bathtub. You get to see what pigeons eat. You get to see how fast can pigeons fly. How do they fly? How do they take off? How long do they live? That's a big question I always get. And I also talk about pigeons in the war. And then to go along with that, I know that pigeons back in the day when they were helpers per se in the war times, they were messengers and they had little capsules where the messages would be written, put inside the capsules. The capsules would go on the bird and they would toss the bird up into the air. And I went online to look up pigeon message capsules, literally just to see what do they look like? What are they? Because I was going to add them to my slideshow. And I went one step further and I found 2 pigeon message capsules on eBay and I bought them.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
So now everybody can meet Homer. They can see message capsules from World War II and learn about how valuable pigeons were at that time. And it's a wonderful experience. So it went from, I owe that library and my artist friend a lot because of those 2 folks. It's just now this big thing. So
Well, I love that. I love that, not only is this pigeon program, well, I only know this because I follow all you and things, but this pigeon program is pretty versatile. It's not just for children. I know that you do it for other age groups as well. So do you have a preference of an audience or maybe pros and cons for the different types of audiences you have?
absolutely, that is an absolutely wonderful question. This is why God gave you the gift of podcasting. It's perfect because when I started all of this, I kind of designed it as a children's program
Right.
because I actually have a degree in early childhood education. I've
Wow.
worked in preschools before, and I'm basically a 56-year-old kid.
Okay.
I I'm a kid at heart. So I designed it for children. I make voices and I act silly and tell jokes, and I can teach pigeons to a 2-year-old as well as I can teach pigeons to somebody in their 90s. But I will tell you this, I have done my pigeon program in preschools, and I end up kind of being a teacher, not just about pigeons, but I end up kind of going along with the other teachers in the room, put your hands in your laps, don't touch your friends. Let's not talk right now. We have to zip our lips and listen and all of these things. And I will tell you, and I know this just from being around kids for so long, that their attention span, the smaller they are, the smaller the attention span.
Right.
So if I'm standing up there going blah blah blah, now obviously I take the war pigeon topic and I make it very simple and short and sweet.
Mhm.
But they just want to pet the bird. They want to meet Homer, they want to pet him. They see him in his backpack and they're just excited to meet him. But when I have adults in the room or older children or teenagers, that makes me excited. Not that I don't love the littles, but those folks, I can really be myself. And,
Yeah.
the grown-ups get the dad jokes and the things that I throw in.
Yeah.
So, I hope that answered your question. But yeah, I it's for any age, honestly, unlike the other workshops that we'll get into that are more for older kids and adults.
Yeah.
So any age can come. I've had people with 1-year-olds, that
Oh,
they just happen to be there. And, unless they start to cry or fuss, they can stay the whole time and, you know, learn something as well.
any, like, weird requests one may get for a pigeon program or any type of off the wall, just requests in general when someone's wants to book with you, or have you had any experiences like that?
I've never really had anything weird. I have had mostly libraries and schools are what I do. But I noticed we had talked about it in the previous podcast a decade ago, it seems. Um, we had talked that somebody I know that lives near here, she has they're an older group and they have friends that get together once a week and they have snack, and I don't know if they meet in the winter, but in the summer she has an in-ground pool. So they meet at the pool house beside the
Nice.
pool. And I did my pigeon program in the pool house.
That's cool.
And that was before I had a slideshow. So but yeah, nothing unusual, but I'm open to just about anything, so
Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe, be at a bar mitzvah or something, or
sure.
you never know. Well, I love the pigeon program, and I love that it's educational and, it's also something, like you said, it's tangible. Like, they can actually physically come and touch Homer, which
Mhm.
sitting in a presentation with slides, it's nice that it has that component of it's not just a presentation. Like, here's and you have, like, that artifact from World War II. I love that. And I think, like, elementary school kids would probably be, like, the most fun
Oh,
because,
yeah.
like, I could just hear them like, "Oh, there's a pigeon." Like, "Oh, how cool."
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome.
that's cool. Okay. So shifting gears over to the vision boards. And I am so glad that you said yes to come back on again because 2026 is right around the corner. It will be here before we know it. And everyone's going to be making New Year's resolutions and doing all types of things to better themselves or to set new goals or whatever. And vision boarding is an excellent way to do that. So
It sure is.
tell everyone, what is a vision board and what is a vision board workshop?
Okay. Well, good question. Many people that I meet, I will say to them, "Are you familiar with vision boards?" A lot of people will say yes. Sometimes it's older people that, they go, "What is that?" And I go, "Well," I go, "Do you know what a bucket list is?" And then they smile and they nod because most people know what that is. I go, "It's kind of like that, but it's a place where you're basically writing down any goals that you have." But I see it as so much more than that. And this is such a loaded question that you asked. And you feel free to interrupt me at any point or or
Go
say,
for
"You've
it.
gone on too long about the vision boards." But I could talk about vision boards forever and a day.
Go for it.
But I'll give an example. I know someone personally, and I'm not gonna call her out on here, but she came to my very first vision board workshop, and I was so excited to have her there. And her thoughts on vision boards are that you put things on there that you can't just easily get. Like, my weird way of saying it is, you're not gonna write on there a loaf of bread because you can go to the store and buy a loaf of bread. Hopefully now, everything's pricey.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she made it sound like you put things that aren't things that are easy to get. Something that you really wanna manifest, work towards making it happen. You don't put on there, "I need eggs," or whatever. You don't put those kinds of
Nice.
things on there. And I agree with her to a point, but I've decided to respectfully agree to disagree with her
Okay.
because I have so many things on my boards, because I have 2, that it's ridiculous. So I have the big things. I have I'm sitting here in a rental. I've lived here for over 5 years now, and I don't hate it. I have wonderful landlords. It's a roof over my head. It's a great little space. But I'm dying to own a home, whether I build it, buy it, or whatever. And that's a big ticket item. I call that big ticket item. I
Definitely.
have that on my board. I have places I would like to travel to. Possibly England, although I'm scared that's a little bit of a plane ride. It's maybe too long for me. But I have big things like that. But I also have on my boards reminders to drink more water
Ooh,
because I don't know that I drink enough water.
good one.
And I have a favorite chair that I should toss out with the trash. Tonight's trash night because I'm always sitting in my favorite chair eating snacks. This is why the Zoom is from here up. You don't want to see. Just kidding. But I I'm sedentary a lot of the time. So on the vision board that's on my nightstand, I have move your body. And I should be looking at that every day, reminding myself, get out of your chair, do something, whether it's walking in place in front of the TV that I'm watching or parking farther away when I go to Walmart, anything like that. Also, I was telling somebody at the last vision board workshop that I hosted that in order for your vehicles to run, they run on fuel. You've got to put fuel, most vehicles. You have to put fuel in those vehicles in order for them to run. I run on inspiring quotes. So I have quotes all over my boards.
I love that.
So, yeah, it's not a big ticket item. It's just, I'm trying to see. I have one on the wall here. I even have something that just says dream big because I love that. They told me I couldn't. That's why I did. Some people know the famous one. I have a bracelet that somebody made on Etsy. She believed she could, so she did. And then there's the other variations of that. She believed she could, but she was tired, so she rested. And then I saw a real cute one. She believed she could, but there was a cat in her lap and she couldn't. But I love all of that. So my board has all of those things. It's got the big things, the reminders, and I want to do more with my workshop business that I started. So I have things about that on there. So I'm trying to think where I was going with this and what you had asked in the beginning because I started rambling and went on
Yeah.
and on.
So basically, it sounds like a vision board is just things in your life that are important that you should be remembering daily, such as little motivational quotes, moving your body, drink water. But it's also a way to signal to the universe, like say you want to be a homeowner. That's like you said, a big ticket item. That's not going to happen in just a month. That
Right.
takes time and work. So I love that it can really be whatever is most important coming up in your life right now. It doesn't have to be big or small ticket items. It can be both. It can be really whatever, you could be someone studying in school right now, and maybe you have really big exams coming up, or, maybe you're in a pivotal career moment where you're trying to reevaluate your life and maybe you wanna see something ahead in your career and you're trying to manifest that. It's really big on manifestation. So,
Yes.
um,
Hmm.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
I love all your examples.
Oh, thank you. And I actually have a small story I can share. This just popped into my head. This is kind of where it all started for me. So I have not been making vision boards my entire life. Many years ago, I don't think I knew what they even were, that they existed. I'm real big into motivational speakers and inspiring people like Fairy Grace that you interviewed.
Love fairy.
How could you not love Fairy?
We love
I love to surround myself with those kinds of people. And I'm not a big reader as far as like regular books, like, people that go in book clubs and, talk about the books and things. But I love self-help books. And a few years ago, I started reading some of Steve Harvey's books. I'm a huge Steve Harvey fan. And what I love about him is, unlike some of the other people out there who have boatloads of money, he wasn't born that way. He didn't, like the Kardashians, I feel like when they came out, they landed in a pile of money like a pile of leaves in the fall. And that's not his story.
right.
And he actually lived for 3 years in his car because he took a dive to try to do what he wanted to do with his life, and he struggled for 3 years, and now he's this big famous guy, so but he tells a story in a couple of his books, and I'll try to keep it brief, but when he was a kid, and I don't know if anybody knows this because I was shocked when I learned it, he used to stutter when he talked, and he's very well, I say he's well-spoken, but he admits he never went to college, so his grammar's a little wonky, but he I never knew that he stuttered.
Right.
And they had an assignment in school, I'm not sure how young he was, but they had to write down what they wanted to be when they grew up. So he wrote all the kids wrote whatever kids would write, doctor, or he said, like, basketball player, something kind of common-ish, and he wrote that he wanted to be on TV. And the day that the teacher was calling them all up, to read what they wrote and, like, talk about it, she called him last, and he went, "Ooh, she's saving the best for last." And he was all excited and proud of himself, and he was this, skinny, nerdy kid with a stutter, walks up to the front of the class, and the teacher said, "Why did you write this on your paper?" And he's like, "'Cause I wanna be on TV." That's what he wrote. And she said, "Boy, you can't be on TV, you can't even talk properly." Imagine a teacher saying that to you, like, that's not the profession she should have been in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
she
that
said, "You can't be on TV." So he went home. I guess the school called his parents. So the mom was all fired up when he got home, and he said, "I'm getting a whooping, I just know it." And then the mom started talking to Steve Harvey's dad, and the dad was like, "What's wrong with what he wrote on his paper?" And she's like, "You talk to the boy." Well, meantime, they had sent Steve up to his room, and he was sitting up there just waiting. He's like, "I know I'm getting a whooping." And the dad came up and he said, "What does the teacher want you to write on your paper?" And he said the same stuff the other kids wrote, just like basic doctor, lawyer, whatever.
normal.
And he goes, yeah, he goes, "Well, then you write that down and you take that piece of paper into her and give that to her." He goes, "But this paper that you wrote on that you want to be on TV," he goes, "you put that in your dresser drawer. And every morning when you wake up, you read your paper. And every night when you go to bed, you read your paper." And he said he realized his dad knew the principle of being successful is you have to write it down. And I think Ferry talked about that as well. And that's where I first saw that. And it was like a bomb just went off in my head. And I went, this is so profound to me. It just hit me like nothing had ever hit me before. And I said, "Oh, I need to try this." And it's basically free. I mean, you can literally, you could get a tablet and write down your goals and your dreams.
Yeah.
I just love to scrapbook, so I make all my things look cute. I have a vision board on the wall here in front of me that at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, lights come on around it, and it's adorable.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I make them look cute, and I help you make it look cute in your workshop, when you come to that. But that's where it all started for me, is when Steve Harvey talked about, "You've gotta write it down." There's also a Bible quote, something about write the vision, and you can look it up, write the vision and make it plain. He who reads it will run with it, and even though it might take a while, it will come to you at the appointed time.
Mm.
So because he's real big into the Bible, and I know not everybody is, so I don't get into that too much, but, he's like, "It's even in the Bible, it tells you to write it down." So that's where all of that came from, and then I've just been doing it ever since. And then I started my first board in 2019. And it was one of those, like, I had extra PTO days where I was working at that time, use them or lose them.
Mm.
And I did it right around Christmas time, made the board. 2020 hit. And one of my big goals was I wanted to do more pigeon shows. And I started getting them signed up. And then 2020, COVID came into play, and that sort of put a stop to some things for a while. But
Right.
but when I realized that it was working, I went, "Oh, I need to tell people about this." And then that's where that workshop came from.
I love that. I love that it's just so simple just to write it down. And in this day and age, if you are not someone who likes to physically write something, you can email yourself, you can text yourself, you can start something. I'm sure there's notepad on your phone, you can do it electronically if you're if actually physically writing isn't your style. So, but I love that. It's like I said, it signals to the universe. There is something powerful about writing it down that just the universe sees that and it's like, "Oh, is that something you want? Okay, well let me work on some things up here and as long as you keep working and hustling, we're going to make this happen."
Yes. And I tell people in the workshops, if you are just here for fun, if you're here because your girlfriend's twisted your arm and said, "Come on, it's a girls' night, let's do this," and you just take the vision board that you make and shove it in a drawer somewhere, maybe nothing's going to happen for you. And I don't judge you. If you just came out just to have a fun night out or whatever, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But if you look at your board every day, like I take a picture of my vision board and it's the background of my phone.
Mm,
So when I
wow.
go in and see all my stupid little apps and all the things that distract me from the world, I see some of my goals on there in the background, and it reminds me, like, oh shoot, I need to do this or that or whatever. So, but it helps if you look at it every day. And I also, in my mind, it's fun for me to think that the boards are magical, but like I got a new bed and mattress several years ago. And I was talking about this in a recent workshop that I did, and I said, "Nobody came to my house, knocked on my door, and said, 'Hey, we happen to hear that there was a girl here sleeping on a really old mattress that's yucky and miserable, and she's waking up sore. We just happen to have a mattress on the bed of our truck. Would you like it?'" It didn't come to me magically that way. I had to go out and lay on a million mattresses, and I often refer to it as the Goldilocks and the 3 bears. This bed's too hard, this bed's too soft. I had to lie on a million mattresses before I found the one, and then it wasn't expensive, but it wasn't free.
Right.
So, I had to, save up and kinda work towards making it happen, but there's just something to the fact that it was written down. I think it just made it more tangible, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And now that you're saying that, I was actually thinking back to my interview with Fairy, and she said when she does her vision board, she puts her debt on there. So she's constantly reminded, like, hey, you need to keep chipping away at this debt. So it's
Yeah,
there next year. Like, so it's just a good visual reminder, if you have an extra 10, 20, $30 to put on your debt, or if,
yeah,
whatever you're working towards, what effort are you doing in your life to get to that point?
yep,
Like you said, if you just shove it in your drawer and you were just there because you said a friend twisted your arm, then no judgment, but it's probably not
yeah,
gonna mean much.
exactly. Yeah.
Love it. Well, this perfect segue into the next thing I want to talk about, which is the gratitude journaling, which is something that I actually learned from you 5
Oh.
years ago. So, yeah, I actually learned it from you. So, I think it's only right that we need to reshare that information with everyone. So, first off, what is gratitude journaling? And when did you learn it? Why do we need it? All that good stuff. So,
Oh my. Another big topic that I could go on for days about.
I know this is,
Yeah.
I love this.
Oh, yes. So, when we talk about people that I love that inspire me, and I mentioned Steve Harvey, I can't mention Steve Harvey without mentioning Oprah.
I love Oprah.
Yes, we might have even talked about her, the last time you interviewed me. I'm just a huge fan, and I know maybe some people think she's over the top and whatever. And, some people like this person, some people like that person. Everybody's different.
Right.
I would love to meet her. I would absolutely die. I'd probably cry and awkwardly hug her for 20 minutes, and we would have to call authorities, get this person off of me because I just love her so much. But way back in the day, she used to be on in the afternoons at 4 with her talk show. And at the time, and I've talked about this on my personal Facebook page, because I actually do every year now, I do a gratitude challenge in November
Yes.
where every night I write down the 5 things that I'm grateful for. And today's the last day for the challenge. I just realized it's the 30th.
Yes, love
So
it.
you're gonna be in
Today.
my 5 tonight. Now I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. Oh, so
From
I had
Oprah.
talked about yeah, so I talked about this on my page before, way back in the day when Oprah was on, and she had that one show that a lot of people remember where everybody got a vehicle for free.
Yeah, you get a
And
call.
there are memes, you can even use it as a meme, a generator, because she was standing on stage going, "You get a car, you get a car." Well, now you can make it be, you get a loaf of bread or something. You can make it say whatever you want it to say, and it's funny. And I remember watching that episode because there were times where I wasn't working back in the day when she was on, and I remember watching that episode and thinking, "Oh, that's nice. They get vehicles. What do I get?" And I realized it hit me a few years ago that I think, because I was making a motivational video for my Facebook page, and I actually started to tear up when I talked about it, and I'm not gonna awkwardly do that right now, but I realized that I got something better than a vehicle because that episode was on so long ago, unless there was an elderly woman on there that it was, what do they say in the ads, garage kept, she only went to church on Sunday and to the market.
Mhm.
Where are all of those cars today? Maybe in a what do you call that, where they go? The junkyard or whatever.
Junkyard, yeah.
Yeah, and I
I'm
got
hoping.
something that's lasting me a lifetime.
Love it.
Yeah, so I was sitting at home one day, and I lived in a tiny trailer. I was married to the wrong guy. I didn't have some big fancy vehicle, and I didn't have tons of money in the bank, and here's Oprah on TV one day. She did an entire show on gratitude journaling. She said every day, she didn't say nighttime specifically, but she said every day, you write down 5 things that you are grateful for, and over time, it's going to change your life. And I remember thinking, of course, you're grateful. You're loaded with money. She was, I think, back in the day dating Stedman, and I think they're still together today.
Yes.
And the few clips that you see, he looks like he treats her the way you should treat a person.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, unfortunately, I wasn't in that good of a situation. And I thought, what in the world do I have to be grateful for living in this tiny trailer married to the wrong guy? But then I did this emoji, and I use the hand on the chin emoji quite
Yeah.
frequently. And I went, uh, it's free to write words on paper. Maybe I'll give it a try. So I went out. Now I tell people you could write on the back of your hand, just don't ever wash your hand. Or get it tattooed permanently. Um, you could write on a napkin. You could write on the back of a placemat in a restaurant. It's the writing. But I went out because it was Oprah. I probably went to the Hallmark store. I bought a cute little journal that had flowers on it or whatever, and it was lined. And I remember that night I crawled into bed because I thought I'm going to do it at bedtime to reflect back on the day, and I'm
Mhm.
going to try to find good things from the day. And I remember that night thinking to myself, that old phrase that was popular for a while, what would Jesus do? They had bracelets like WWJD.
Yeah.
Mine was, what would Oprah do?
Hmm.
And I thought, how does Oprah want me to write this? Because she really didn't specify. And I was nervous as if Oprah was going to come to my tiny trailer with a red pen and grade
Hmm.
my journal.
Correct you. Yeah.
Yes, that's not how you do it. And I was like, should I do bullet points? Should I number it 1 through 5? Can I write it in paragraph form? Well, let's see. Today, I didn't know. And I ended up, I think I did bullet points, but I wrote my 5 things. And fast forward to now, so we don't have an 8-hour podcast. I have been writing every night for over 28 years.
Wow.
Yes. And
Love
I
it.
love that reaction when I tell people I get that reaction. And I have to try not to cry over that because I do think it's a big deal. And it really does change your life. And the funny thing is, if you look back at past journals from when I was living in that tiny trailer, married to the wrong guy, if you were a single gal, you might have read my journal and thought, does this guy have a brother? Because he sounds amazing. Because I didn't write the things that weren't good. I wrote something wonderful about him every day. And when I look back, I lived on 28 acres. I had a chicken coop full of chickens and pigeons, and I had flower beds everywhere, which I love to flower garden. So I had a lot of good reasons to be grateful. I didn't understand the concept of gratitude.
Right.
And it's appreciating what you have. And, this rental is tiny, but my rent is affordable for me. I have amazing landlords. There's a roof over my head. When it rains, I don't get rained on. If I would go out and open my fridge right now, something would probably fall out because it's full. Um, so there's always, always, always a reason to be grateful. And it's funny sometimes when I do my gratitude journaling workshop, I'll start out saying, well, I'm going to introduce myself to you. And then I say all of the negative things that I could ever think of, married to the wrong guy. I've had pregnancy loss. I have fibromyalgia, so I deal with pain a lot. And I name all of these things. And then I go, you probably are wondering if you came to the wrong workshop. What did I sign up for today? And I go, it gets better. And then I talk about how I've been writing for 28 years. And on the days when my legs are sore or my arms are sore, I'm still able to go from point A to point B and do things. Or I'm grateful for the days when I am in a rough spot physically, that there's a shopping cart that I can drive in Walmart because they're kind of fun. I don't take them on a regular basis because I know there are people worse off than me. And so I don't want to hog that if someone else needs it. But I have had days where I don't want to walk through Walmart and I'll, drive that cart. So I'm grateful for that cart. I'm grateful that it's fully charged and I can get around to get the things that I need.
Mhm.
But there's just always, always something to be grateful for. And Oprah said there's something to writing it down. It solidifies it more. So you could wake up every day and say, God, or whoever your person is, I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful that I woke up. I'm grateful for my spouse, kids, whatever it is that you want to say. And you can just say it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's something to writing it. So I have in my nightstand a stack of all of my journals that I've written in, and it's just a wonderful feeling. And it's just life is hard, the world is hard. You're always going through something, but at the end of every day, you can find something good to put in your journal.
What are some examples of things because with the holidays does bring a lot of joy, but I know that the holidays can also bring a lot of hurt for people with family issues and dealing with things like that. So, in the spirit of the holidays, if someone's feeling just not in a good place, what are some examples of something they can write to be grateful for if they're not feeling good?
There's just always, I mean, it sounds corny. I'm using an old phrase where they say, turn that frown upside down. It seems cheesy and corny and trite to say that. But, thinking not so much about family, but, maybe you had a really crappy day at work. And some people have those days. I know of people, I've had days like that before. I don't have them now, but I've had them in the past. But maybe you had a really good lunch on your lunch break. Or maybe you sat with a coworker and they made you laugh that day. You're stuck in traffic and you're angry at the traffic, or you're angry because somebody just pulled out in front of you. And then 2 seconds later, they put the turn signal on and now you're braking and you want to do things to them that we won't talk about on camera. You're very upset about that, but you made it home in one piece. Or the one night I put in my gratitude on Facebook, there was a deer along the side of the road. I'm grateful she didn't jump out. So, when it comes to the holidays, and I recognize, because I talked about it in something I made for Thanksgiving on my page. I said, for some people, this is their favorite holiday. And this is a wonderful week for some people. They can't wait for the meal, the family gatherings, and all of that. But some people have an empty seat because somebody passed away. And you're right, too. Some families don't all get along. And that family drama is not fun at all. So, you can drive home from the family meal and go, I can't believe your cousin just did blah, 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 or whatever. But you try to just find something. Speaking of Christmas, there's always cookies. Maybe somebody made your favorite cookie, and it was there and you got to have one. Sorry about that. And you can, think about there's joy to be found. You just have to look for it. And I think with the writing it down, it causes you to consciously look for things. So you go, "Oh, this is something I can journal about later tonight." "Oh, I'm gonna put Jessica in my journal that we had this little chat and it was wonderful." Um, you just you look at that and, there's always ways of finding the good in the bad, if that
I
helps.
love that. It's like retraining, like, we always wanna go to the negative, and it's just like, if you just
We
look
do.
there's something good, you can find 5 things. Like, I know you can just think, and even like you said, just something is maybe you had a really, really bad day. Like, those happen, they just do, that's life. But like you said, it can be something simple as, I have food in my fridge.
Mhm,
It gets you down to think of just, like, basic concept needs
mhm.
instead of, because social media, I mean, just everything, buy, buy, buy. It's Black Friday, it's Christmas, what are you buying? And it just kinda takes that, it's like, it's not what it's all about.
Yeah. One of my favorite days, um, several years ago, I did my gratitude journaling workshop for a 3rd grade class.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it was one of the best days of my life. I didn't know how they would react to it, and I need to take a drink because I've been
Yeah,
talking
go
the whole
for it.
time.
I'm gonna take a drink too. We're drinking.
I didn't know how they would react to it. I didn't know if it was a good age, but my friend was teaching at the time, and she said, "Will you come teach gratitude to my 3rd grade class?" I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, I will do that."
Yes.
So, I went in, I had a little slideshow. Now, of course, I keep adding to my slideshow. OCD, I always have to change and tweak things. But I made a cute little slideshow, and we watched it, and we talked about what gratitude was. In fact, I asked the kids if they knew who Oprah was because I have an Oprah clip in the slideshow, and I don't think they knew who she was.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That I expected that. But then I said to them, "You know what?" And the funny thing was, is the elementary school where these kids were used to be my junior high. And when I went there for junior high, I mostly hated it. Junior high kids are not always kind.
It's a tough age. I didn't
It's
like
a
public
very
school
tough
either.
age. I don't even know if I could teach that age. I just don't know. Um, but, and I'm not trying to turn this into a poor me thing because this isn't about that. But I was picked on, but so was everybody. I don't think there was one kid in the school who left unscathed.
Yeah,
Everybody picked on everybody.
right.
But I was depressed a lot and I hated it. And so I was coming from a place of I know what it's like to be a kid. And I said, when you go to write in your journals at night, I said, I want you to write, um, that the bus driver got you home safely. Or some of us have a memory of a particular meal that our high school used to make. And we go, oh, I really miss the pizza or the whatever,
Right.
So maybe you really had a good meal that day, or maybe a classmate made you laugh, or the teacher said something kind to you. Because before I got into all of that, I said to the kids, and my only regret of the day is I knew that kids would want to play with the journals themselves because everybody gets a blank journal and then you get to decorate the journal and take it home and start on your gratitude journey like me 28 plus years ago. And I knew the kids love stickers, but so do grown-ups. I'm finding that out now. But I knew they would wanna decorate the journals, and that would be fun for them, and my only regret was I didn't allow enough time for chit-chat, because I said to the kids, "I know life can be tough." I said, "I haven't been in 3rd grade in quite some time." I said, "What makes you sad in the 3rd grade?" Every single hand went up, and I had to keep myself together. And some of it was one girl's cat died. Well,
Mhm.
that's horrible for any of us, but she spent about 20 minutes giving every little detail of how that went down and what grandma said and what the vet said and all of the things. And there was another boy that I remember, his parents, they were either divorced or separated, and he had to go back and forth. I didn't grow up doing that. I can't even begin to imagine what that must be like to have a suitcase or a bag, and one night you're staying at mom's, the next night you're staying at dad's. And he said something about whenever he would go to mom's, there was a boyfriend there and they would fight all the time. And it broke my heart to think that that little boy is in a house where he's hearing things that's too big for somebody that small.
Right.
And so I said, I don't want you to think about that at bedtime. I want you to put in there that you had a really good lunch, or something as simple as you said, like, "There's food in the fridge," or "I have a roof," or something like that.
Mhm.
And I was very, very delighted and surprised at the end of that workshop. All of the kids got to write their first entry, and they totally understood the assignment. And I've never forgotten that day. It was such a powerful moment for me to see that.
I bet for kids too, like, it would be good to start that concept of gratitude journaling with children because children are already in that, like, just innocent, childlike phase. So their concept of joy is much more, I would say, real than us as adults because we've been so conditioned by the world and we've had to have jobs and do the adulting thing, and we know how tough
Yes.
it is just day-to-day working. So, I think it's probably, like, really important that children learn this tool.
Yeah, that is one of my goals, is I would love to get into more schools. So if anybody's listening, if you work at a school or if you have children that go to a school, I have tried to write to some local principals.
Yeah,
I didn't
probably
know if
tough,
that
huh?
was
It's
what's
probably
that?
Is it probably tough to get some feedback, huh?
Yeah, well, because here's what I did back in the day. So I'm ever evolving. I'm constantly changing my spreadsheets, my websites, my whatever. And some of it may be OCD, but sometimes change can be for the better. And back in the day, when I was advertising the pigeon program, for example, I wrote a letter and said, "Hey, my name is Elizabeth Shaver. I have a pet pigeon named Homer who lives in my house with me." Yes, you read that correctly. And then I go on to say what my program is. And I looked back on I still have it saved on my computer, or I did. Excuse me. And I looked back on that a while ago and I went, nobody has time to read all that. And I actually took it and, like, I think I mailed it to Hempfield High School. Well, the secretary or the front desk receptionist person, whoever sits there, they probably get gobs of mail every day, and I went into some stack of mail.
Yeah.
She probably didn't look at it and go, "Oh my gosh, there's a pigeon that can come to the high school. We need this right now. Let me go give this to so and so." It probably got lost in the shuffle, and I never thought about that. A, too wordy, and B, I don't think I sent it to the right person.
Yeah.
Because a few years ago, I was at PA Career Link, which is a wonderful place if you need job assistance and that kind of thing, and I was telling somebody there that I was hoping to find something part-time so that I could do more with my workshops and things, and when I told her what I did, she said, "Oh, that's really cool." I said, "I've been trying to reach out to some local schools," and I just realized my phone dinged, so I'm gonna turn my phone down.
You're
I
fine.
thought I was in silent, and I am now. Um, but that's when she had said to me that my letter was probably sitting in a pile of other things and got lost. So in my mind, I thought I'm going straight to the source because she did sort of suggest that. So I had emailed a few months back some principals. I went on to see who all were principals in the Hempfield School District. One guy replied to me and he said, "I'm going to forward this to so and so." And now crickets. But I know I need to follow up. I'm bad about that sometimes.
Well,
But
you
yeah, I would
planted the
love
seed.
what's that?
You have planted the seed.
I planted the seed. But yes, I would love to get into more schools because just think, I started in my what would I have been in my 30s, 20 I don't wanna do math problems, but
We don't
I
like math.
started
We don't
yes, I started late-ish in life to journal, but imagine if somebody starts when they're in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade
exactly.
and then does that when they're 30 and they can go, "I've been doing it for, 30 plus years," or whatever. That's really cool, so, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Elizabeth, where can people find you if they want to book a pigeon program, gratitude journaling, vision board workshop? Where can they find you, follow you on social media?
I decided to make myself official. It was between 2024 and the ending of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. And I'll make this real quick, and I
You're fine.
apologize. I always take the long route to answer a simple question.
No, you are fine.
Yes. So, and again, we're not gonna be sad. I don't need comforting or whatever, just saying this is how it happened. In January of 2024, my dad had passed away. And yeah, it's thank you. I was working at the time at a job that I really didn't like. It was a job that I needed a job and I took it. It was close to home. I thought it would be something that I would like, but I ended up not loving it. There was an office manager who was unkind and made days unbearable sometimes. And so here I was working a full-time job while my mom was trying to navigate life without my dad. And I kept thinking I would like to see more of her and not just Sunday we go to church and then we go to breakfast afterwards. And I thought I'd like to be able to see more of her. And honestly, there were days where I would be sitting at the desk at my job going, I want to be somewhere right now helping someone to be happier. I want to be somewhere right now helping someone make a vision board or teaching someone about pigeons. This is not where I want to be. And truthfully, I don't think God wanted me to be there either. So towards, I would say sometime in the fall of 2024, the place where I was working, the numbers weren't good financially, and I got a phone call one day, and the gentleman who ran the place, he said, "You've seen the numbers." I said, "Yep." He said, "I may have to lay you off." He said, "It's nothing personal, but I didn't want to surprise you. I didn't want you to be surprised if that were to happen." He goes, "So I wanted to let you know that it could possibly happen." I said, "That's fine. I appreciate you letting me know. I understand." And then weeks later, I was at work one day, got called into the office, and he said, "I'm letting you go today." He said, "I'm laying you off today." And I said, "That's fine." I gathered up my things, said my goodbyes to my coworkers, drove straight to my mom's house, who she was working outside at the time. And she said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm no longer employed." And the first thing I said was, "Take me to camp." We have a camp that's over 2 hours away. I wanted to go to camp with her and make memories with her that you can't, you need to make memories with the people that are here while they're here. So we ended up doing all of that, spending more time together. And it was at that point where I had this little mini revelation, or Oprah calls them aha moments. I said, I'm not working full time anymore. I need to be able to see my mom more than just Sunday morning. I want to do more workshops and get that built up so that eventually workshops is all that I do. And that's going to take a little bit of time, of course. So I'm in no rush. I'm working somewhere part time now, but I do have time during the week when I can do workshop stuff. So I started thinking to myself, I need to call myself something. What do I call my business? And I went back and forth asking people on Facebook, losing my mind over it. And God bless mom. Breakfast with mom on Sunday is not just about the bacon. It's mostly about the bacon, but it's not just about the bacon.
Bacon
So
is important.
it is important. Thank you. Um, but mom and I were sitting at breakfast one morning and I said, I don't know what to call my workshop business. And I need a name and I want to make this happen. And she said, oh, for Pete's sakes, or something like that. And she said, just call yourself Elizabeth's Workshops or Workshops by Elizabeth. And it was like a brick just went into my face.
Yeah.
And I went, Mom, you can't die ever because you give great advice. I said, that's it. That's it. And then I have a cousin who's actually your friend and my cousin Dave, his sister Adele, she has a small marketing business. And she
Okay.
said to me one day, "Do you have a business logo?" And I went, "No." And I probably looked like, "Do I need a business logo?" Well, she went on Canva, which is now one of my favorite websites ever.
Love
She made a
Canva.
little Yes, she made a little logo and sent it to me, and I went, "Oh my god, I love this." So I ran with it, tweaked it, and made it what I wanted to make it,
Mhm.
and that's where Workshops by Elizabeth came from. So I have a Facebook page. I told you long route to the simple answer,
No,
but I have
it's
a Facebook
important. The
page.
story's
Yeah,
important.
yes. So it's just Workshops by Elizabeth on Facebook. So you can go there. And if you click on, I'm very, and again, this goes with the OCD. If you've ever been on somebody's Facebook page that you don't know them, maybe it's a business of some kind, and you go, I wanted to learn a little more about them. I wonder if they have anything in the about section. And then I click on it and there's nothing. Or there's a sentence that runs off and never has a period at the end and words are missing because they didn't take the time. So you can actually read about what I do in the about section. And then I have a link to my website, which
Perfect.
I wrote it down because I want to make sure that I say it correctly.
Yeah.
So I use a website that I highly recommend if you are a blogger or if you're a photographer and you want to have a website for that. It's something that you can do for free, but when you do it for free, you don't just get your name. So I'm not just workshopsbyelizabeth.com. That would be too simple. Um, I am not that. So I am on a website called WordPress.
Okay.
It's WORDPRESS. So my name is attached to that. Now, when I make it big and I want to pay a monthly fee, I could just be workshopsbyelizabeth.com.
Gotcha.
So what I am now, if you want to go to the website, but there is a link on the Facebook page.
Perfect.
It is workshopsbyelizabeth.wordpress.com.
Okay.
So that's it. But I have all sorts of information on there of what each workshop is like. There's an about me section that explains how these came to be. So I think I mentioned the Oprah thing and the journaling for 28 years and all of that. There's all sorts of links on there that you can get a hold of me there, and ask questions and things like that.
Okay. I love it. So just head over. So if you're on Facebook, head over to Workshops by Elizabeth, reach out to her. Her link is in the about, and you can directly reach out to her. And don't you have a site for Homer? I feel like Homer has a site, right?
He does. I have sites all over the place.
Okay.
I really need to reel it in because if you would see my honey-do list when you and I get off of the podcast, I have to go do 5,000,000 things before
Okay.
bedtime. Yeah, so I should probably have fewer sites, but yes, if you wanna follow Homer specifically, it's literally just Homer the pet pigeon on Facebook.
Love it.
Yeah, and then years ago, I hang my head in shame, I made a website because I wanted to have a fun place for people to go because as you know, and listeners, you'll know, Facebook is not always a positive place.
Right.
We want it to be. I've connected with high school classmates, or I can say, hey, I'm going to be here with Homer on this date and time. You can see that. You can come if you want. I post motivational videos telling people you're going to be okay, you're going to make it, and things like that. Or maybe I'm cooking something in the kitchen, I have a recipe, and I try to keep it as positive as possible. But people are unfriending each other over politics
Oh, yeah.
and, somebody will write something and then everybody attacks that person. And it's just, there's a lot of negativity. And I wanted to have a place where people could go, not just my Facebook page, but anybody could go to it. So I do have another Facebook page, but I can't tell you when I was last on it because I started this business and it's just been crazy. But it's called Gratitude, Happiness, and Bacon, which is what I almost called my business. But then I had a family member say, are you starting up a food truck? And I was like, "No, but maybe I should." But yeah, so I have that page too, but I haven't posted on it in a minute. I need to either delete it or get back into it, but
All right, great. Well, everyone, there you have it. There's a bunch of ways to get in touch with Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking time today to just share what's been going on in your life, share all this incredibly important information upcoming for the 2026 year. Thank you so much for being on.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. And yeah, anybody can message me with questions. I am looking to branch out. Um, Back in the day, I don't think people do home parties as much now because of COVID.
Right.
But back in the day, people would have pampered chef parties. You would go to somebody's house and look at some $1,000,000 spatula and eat a snack and hang out with your girlfriends or whatever. So I want to try to start doing maybe some of that with my workshops if people are willing to have me in their homes and things. So, and yeah, just keep your eyes open. I'd like to get into wineries and some other places, So
That'd be great.
I'm hoping to get bigger in the new year for sure.
I think you're definitely on the right path. That's where God wants you to be. So, I love it. I can't wait to see what's coming in the next 5 years.
Well, same for you. You're doing well yourself there, girl.
Thanks. Thank you, Elizabeth, and I hope you have a great holiday season.
Thanks. I hope you do as well, and I hope anybody who's listening, is well and has a great holiday also.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.